All right, moving on to the next thing. We're gonna get it off of the stand onto the engine hoist jack, which I borrowed from my neighbor, into the car. I've got my hood propped up in head gasket mode, moving the hood props down. I've got my exhaust manifold roped up. Well, the whole exhaust system, manifold and exhaust. I didn't disconnect it from the other place. I actually tried first and the bolts were really stubborn, so I just took the exhaust manifold off, and I really preferred that anyway, because I mean, you got to take them off at some point once you get it out of the car anyway. I think it's better just to go ahead and take it off. So I'll probably try to clean some of the dirt off of it. I initially roped up the exhaust manifold just because I had to, like, after I pulled the engine, I needed to move the car a little bit. Really so I could fit the jacks, the jack through here, or the jack or the engine stand. At that point it wouldn't fit between my wall and the car. And then I figured out you can't get the thing out of park, you know, once you have the battery out and the engine out and everything else. So I just kind of jerked it back a little bit with the chain and a truck. So that's the story on that. But next step, dropping that engine right in there. So there's two bolts from the block that go into the transmission, so I'm just kind of watching that. They're on the very bottom, so that's what I'm going to lower and aim for, get those stabbed, and then bolt in, stick the bolts in the top, a couple of them, and then get the mounts on and go from there. On the very bottom, for a flashlight, on the very bottom of the, not bottom of the box, or, yeah, from the bottom of the box, there's two bolts stick out in the transmission. Well, the engine mounts are right there. So you have to hit the engine mounts going down, and the transmission bolt going back. Oh, yeah, there you go. No, well, there's a cross member holding there, but... Okay, so then my bolts are just nicely lined up. Let me see if my engine mounts are clear. I think it's maxed out. The transmission, the jack is maxed out on it. You want me to go get my jack? It's a little bit taller. Well, what if I just drop the engine a little on the because I'm pretty... Can you slide now? I'm pushing down. Well, there it goes. I think it's on now. See if we can start these bottom bolts, too. The bottom bolts aren't in there far enough. To get a nut on? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's definitely it. Oh, you get a better angle? Yeah, okay, so still got the engine on the stand, but I wanted to show you as many bolts as I can. There's, okay, so we're at the very top here. I haven't put on the this mount up here yet. I'll do that next. So we've got 1, 2, 4 over here. I believe that's the nut on the bottom. Yeah. So I'm gonna snug all those. I mean, I think they're snug now, but I'm gonna check them again. And then on that's the passenger side. On this side, I need to drop the transmission and motor before I can, just like not have it jacked up before I can that's my starter right here, and it won't really fit on there yet. So I've got like the very bottom nut on, and I think maybe one other bolt started. There. Now it's on there on the bottom. I'm trying to start the top one. And we got that bracket on top for like the ground wire. So I'll make sure I've got that the right direction. And then we'll get it started.
Let's start. Let's see, that bracket seems good.
Okay, while we're underneath the car, we're gonna do the engine mount on this side, same thing on the passenger side. I've got ground wire, goes in, I'm assuming to the bottom of the head, and exhaust manifold. Okay, on the exhaust manifold, which bolts up there, I was like, okay, what do I do with the bolts? Well, I got all the nuts and all the studs were turned in with my core. I didn't take the studs out. One stud came out when I removed the exhaust manifold. So I've got one and I need 7 more, 4 on each side. So we'll go up to the auto parts store, see if we can get studs, and should have thought of that when I turned in my my core, my old heads. But we're gonna hold off on the parts store run for now, leave the exhaust manifold hanging there. We'll work on getting hoses and coolant hoses, electrical connections, accessories. Still need to put the crank pulley on, power steering pump, alternator, AC. Need to put a radiator in here. So I'll probably need to get some coolant. Need to put oil in it. So we'll hold off on the parts store run until I've got a little longer list and just leave the exhaust manifold for later. Okay, I almost forgot. The reason we left the throttle body off is because we've got this access port right here where we got to put in the torque converter bolts. I don't remember how many there are, but you just put them in one at a time, turn the engine over, and 12 millimeter, which reminds me, on that 12 millimeter socket, I don't have it handy with me, but when I took those off, I took my 12 millimeter bolt or socket and stuck it on a grinding wheel to get the I don't know, I think maybe this is it right here, get the camphor off of it. So Just 12 millimeter. This is a 12. So I ground that down so it's completely flat. Doesn't have any lip on it, because those torque converter bolts are really shallow heads. So it's really easy to strip those things, taking them off. So my 12 millimeter socket is ground down just so it's like a really tight fit and doesn't have that, let's see if I get another socket up here. I don't have another socket up here handy, but most sockets have, you know, kind of a transition where it's a little bit bigger right at the end and then transitions down to the whatever size it is, but you just don't have that much room on those torque converter bolts. So grind your socket down. Okay, so I'm looking straight down in that access area, and I turned the engine over a little. I'm kind of moving the camera down, and there's the bolt hole. So when you turn the engine, I'll turn it just a little, that thing moves, and that's where you want to go all the way around and stick your 12 millimeter bolts in. When you're removing your engine, obviously you take them out and then you gotta put them back in. Okay, this is gonna be kind of tough, but I'm gonna try to show the process. You can't really see the hole, but I'm using a magnet with my torque converter bolt on the magnet. I mean, the general gist of it, you do not want to drop a bolt down here. So I get it lined up. It's really hard to do with both. And then get it started with my finger, and I don't let that magnet go until I'm just 100% sure that I got that bolt going. I mean, I get as much as I possibly can because I do not want to lose a bolt down in my transmission. So it's definitely started. So now I'm just finger tightening it. Sorry, I'm trying to get a better angle here. Finger tightening it until, you know, I just can't stay out of the way of the camera. But I'm gonna get that even more finger tight, and then I'll put my 12 mil socket on there. Okay, now we just gotta put the access cover back on. I'm gonna get it close and then stop the recording. Okay, here's our throttle body, getting ready to put it back on. Yuck. We're gonna get some brake clean and some rags. Yeesh, look at all that buildup. We'll just brake clean and rags, see what we can do. Well, it ain't perfect, but it's better than we found it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna wipe that side out a little bit more, and then we'll call it good. All right, we got the two top bolts and the gasket. So we'll get those two top bolts started. And let's go. Okay, crank pulley. So focus, you can see right there is a key on the crank, which matches up to the key on I don't want to use my middle finger, that's rude. Pinky, right there. So we'll put it on that way, bolt it up. Okay, I'm gonna walk around the engine again, look for any hoses or wires that I haven't plugged in. But I believe I am to the point of dropping in the new radiator. So we'll pull that out of the box, see what kind of hardware and stuff we need to get off of the old one, and we will plop it in right here. Okay, so there's the new radiator. So off of the old radiator, we need fans, overflow reservoir, radiator cap, upper radiator hose, that metal shield down on the bottom. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get it dropped in there, and then I'll get the hardware, fans and such, bolted on after. It'll just be easier to lift it a piece at a time. I mean, it's not that heavy, but so I believe these go down through the mounting holes on the bottom.
And we need probably 12 millimeters.
These should be 10 mil.
Just 2 bolts on top. That's an 8. Okay, now, it's getting hot. So then the shield, looks like it has a couple pins on it. Of course, thread.
Obviously, this is not an OEM hose clamp. I put this on here so I could start it up for diagnosis and see how it was running. I cut the end of the hose off to make it flat, but this neck, you know, is broken off, and there's barely, I mean, half an inch, quarter of an inch of space to put the hose on there. So definitely, that's why I got a new radiator. It's because of that neck. I'm reusing the hoses. You know, they're pretty easy to change out if they end up being a problem later. So probably not a big deal to get new hoses. I just didn't order them. All right. Fans going in.
Electrical connector down bottom. They sit down on a mount. Right there. And then bolt up. Go ahead and do the electrical connector so I don't forget about it later. It's down here on bottom. I've got my white Teflon tape on it as a reminder. So I'll pull it off so I know I plugged it in. Click. And then the driver's side fan has the reservoir on it. Easy peasy. What's it say on the box?
Nice electrical connector and hose, overflow hose. Where's my electrical connector? See it coming off the fan. There it is. And then we've got 2 transcooler lines to plug in down there. Click. And then a lower radiator hose, which I don't know what I did with my old one. Upper radiator hose is right here, but I need to locate the lower radiator hose. Oh, the shield. I forgot about the shield. Which way did that go? I don't remember. We'll figure it out. I think it must have gone this way. I'll probably do that from underneath the car, just because I can't really see where it's going from up here, and it doesn't fit between the accessorize and the fans. Okay, I did want to clarify one thing on the transmission bolts. So I am on the passenger side of the car. So on the passenger side, 1, 2, let's see, 3, and then there's a 4th one on around. You can see it from the bottom, you can feel it from up here. There's 4 of them. So now we're gonna go look at the driver's side. Okay, on the driver's side, you got the starter, so it's kind of in your way, so you got to take it off when you're removing it. But when you're putting it back on, a mistake I made that I had to go back and correct is you kind of got to wait to the end to put the starter on. So there's a bolt right there. It's the top bolt for the starter, which is kind of right behind the ground wire. Underneath the starter, get down here where we can see. Okay, yeah, let me zoom in on that. Okay, so on the top of that frame, right there is a nut that goes on a bolt. That's the bottom nut for the starter. Right next to it, right here, if I can get there, is a bolt that goes in the transmission. You can't get that bolt in when the starter is on. The casing of the starter hits it. It's just right there. And then I think there's another bolt down there. So that's the driver's side. Just make sure you get that bolt on before you put the starter on. Okay, we got the shield and everything on the radiator. We got the transcooler lines. There's 2 of them plugged in on the bottom of the radiator. Got the upper and lower radiator hoses on. Got the air box on. The only thing I'm missing up here is some plastic to get to fresh air here. 2 clips here that go to the exhaust, which is still hanging on the ground. Got to go to the parts store and get studs to go into the head. I've got the nuts, I just don't have the studs because I left them with my old head. I've looked, don't see any other wires or hoses not plugged in. Got to get a battery. My daughter is using the battery out of this car, so I've got to get another one. I've got the EGR pipe, got heater hoses, fuel lines in return, spark plug wires, need coolant, oil. Okay, exhaust manifold. This is the passenger side. There is 3 studs, which I lost 5 of them. I have 1 remaining. But I didn't want to go to the trouble of tracking down the exact right stud. So I got these M10 1 and let's see, yeah, 1.25 threads, 30 millimeters long, which this is from the end to the bottom of the nut, which this is one that came out of my old head, is about 25 centimeters. So I'm just gonna stack, I could have got a 20 millimeter, same bolt in 20 millimeter, but I thought just stack some washers on there until it gets, you know, probably 2 of them. So we got about 25, one washer anyway, and then it'll be about 25 centimeters, won't bottom out in the head. I don't know about the zinc, maybe that'll rust or become a problem at some point, but I'm not worried about that right now. There's also this hanger right up there that I took the bolt out of. So I'll probably do the front end on the manifold or on the head first and then come back and bolt that in. All right, exhaust manifold is buttoned up. I was just about to put oil in it and then I remembered oil filter. So there is our oil filter. Pop it on. Getting close to first start. And it is raining, so we got the hood back in normal operating position, plus tilted down even a little bit more. So we'll put some oil in it. I'm putting full synthetic 5W30, which is what the cap calls for, and luckily enough what I already had around here. I'm not going to put coolant in it until after I start it and make sure it'll run. We should be just a hair over the fill line, full line that is. So oil filter will suck up some. We'll probably end up having to put a little bit more in there after we start it, hoping that it runs. You know, this is the moment of truth. I gotta say, I'm worried. I really want it to start and run smooth. Let's see. Of course, it would probably help if we had a battery. Let's do that.